Alrighty, folks, coming at you today with another spreadsheet video. I think what we're going to do is spreadsheets on Mondays. Looking at how I've got it written down right now, I've got spreadsheets on Mondays and top 5 list or tier list or tips type videos on Fridays. So check out last Friday's video where I released the first one, which is a top 5 heroes for new players to climb ranked video. You can check that one out if you're new to ranked, or if you're a new player in general. You can see what heroes I recommend, one for each role, on hopping into ranked for the first time or trying to climb, from bronze to gold. I'm still in gold right now, so it is what it is, but the climb from bronze to gold is pretty quick. After that, it starts slowing down a little bit more. So check that out if you're trying to decide on new heroes to hop into. But today, Monday, we are looking at another spreadsheet. So as always, this spreadsheet will be available for you guys, linked down below in the description as well as in the pinned comment. This one is not a builds spreadsheet, so it's going to be harder for you to come in here and get some use out of. This is more of a theory crafting spreadsheet, so we'll kind of have the conclusions by the end of this video, and then, maybe there's some way you can hop in here and use the spreadsheet or play with it yourself, but for the most part, you're not going to probably find too much use out of it. But if you want to use it for any reason, head down there, hit the link, and make yourself a copy of this spreadsheet to play with. So what are we looking at today? We are looking at health and armor gold efficiency. So that is how much health or armor you receive per item given the amount of gold that it costs to build. So starting right off here, why does gold efficiency matter? So gold efficiency is more impactful to your build order than your build selection. So earlier in the game, when you have less total gold, or you've earned less total gold so far, you want to have more gold efficient items in there. Whereas towards the end of the game, when gold doesn't matter, it doesn't really matter what items you have in there gold efficiency wise, because you probably have a surplus of gold at the end of the game and you're looking at buying tonics or whatnot. So moving more efficient items earlier in your build can leave you with more gold to get to the next item and therefore snowball quicker. So you want to have gold efficiency items front loaded in your builds, where gold efficiency is more important versus at the end of your builds. So then, of course, the second question, in which, this spreadsheet doesn't really cover too much, this is just kind of a general thing, is should I be taking armor or health items first? So, in general, armor is more efficient earlier because you start with a larger health pool compared to the armor pool that your heroes start with, and the enemies that you're against have yet to build pin when it's early in the game. So, you start with the health pool, and putting armor on top of that health pool gets you more out of the health pool that you already have. But you also have to keep in mind that building one armor item is only effective against that damage type. So it really depends on the comp here. But in general, armor is more efficient prior to building health. If you guys have tried it, I know I have, at the support role or at the solo lane role, building an armor item before building a health item generally feels better. If you try to build like Remnant of Renewal, right down here, it gives you 700 health and it has a nice passive, but if you try to build it with no armor, you still generally get deleted faster than if you start with an armor item. So that's just some introduction stuff. Looking at the actual spreadsheet itself, here's what we've done. I've got a baseline of health and armor here for what you get at the tier 1 items. So for the tier 1 health item, you've got the vitality beads, the little green, 350 gold tier 1 vitality beads that give you 100 max health added. So this is the health added per gold efficiency in it. So you're getting 0.286 health added per gold spent. So you'll see that is pretty much more efficient than any of the tier 3 items, because this is just giving you only gold, or only health, no passive. So it's a good trade-off for your gold. In the early game, it makes sense. Same thing with the armor. You've got the tier 1, either the tunic or wraps, whether it's physical or magical armor, and it adds 10 armor for the same 350 gold. So you can see it's the same ratio of health to gold Oh, this should be armor, of course, to gold. Already having mistakes in here. Same efficiency, it's just, you know, 1 decimal over because it's 100 max health versus 10 armor added. So that's what these look like. That's what we've done down here as well. But this is just to give you a baseline of what, you know, what does the tier 1s give you versus what does the final tier items give you. So what I've done is I've listed every item over here in the first column that gives you either health or armor. Any health on the card or any armor on the card, they are on this list. I've got every single one of them in here. So even the ones that are really like for damage dealing or whatever, they're in here anyway, even though this is like a survivability based spreadsheet. I've went ahead and just put every single one in here. So alongside with that, every single gold price in the second column. So you can see some of the support items are very cheap, 2,500, 2,500, Frosted Lure at 2,550, and then when you get towards some of the more expensive items, you know, you've got World Breaker for 32 and Augmentation for 32 and stuff like that. So next up, I've got the max health that they add, and then of course the health added per gold. You know, so the same calculation is up here. You know, how much health do you get for how much gold? And then same thing for the armor. So a physical armor tree or a physical armor column, a magical armor column. And you can see down here at the bottom, I've included every single item that gives you armor, whether it's mainly for dealing damage and just gives you a little armor as a bonus, or its actual main reason is to give you armor. So these down here at the end are the ones that give you no health, but still give you armor. So they're in here as well. And then same calculation, total armor per the gold spent on them. And then like you've seen in some of my other spreadsheets, I went ahead and did an other values category. So obviously a lot of these items don't just give you health and armor. They give you, you know, cooldowns, they give you damage, they give you, you know, a strong passive, whatever it may be. So I've tried to wrap that up into this other values column. This is of course subjective and very dependent on what hero you're playing, but still, you know, it's there just to kind of give you a reference. And then I've done a final efficiency rating right here. So what I've done is, you know, I wanted to have some takeaways from this, so I wanted to highlight the best, the most efficient items, and that's why you see some markings on here already. But, you know, getting the most health per gold, it's just a straight up number. You know, it's a straight up how much health you get for how much gold. So we can look through this health per gold tree or column, and you can see I've highlighted the items that are above 1.6 in the, you know, 0.16 health added per gold spent. Now keep in mind that that's not even close to the efficiency of just the tier 1 beads, but you know, you've got items mainly in here that just give you a bunch of health because the gold prices are close. You know, the gold price gap is only 2,500 up to 3,200. So generally these items that give you the most big health number are what produce the most efficient, you know, health per gold number. So you've got Unbroken Will giving you now 500, giving you some decent health per gold. You've got Fist of Razul giving you 550, same thing, decent health per gold. Void Helm, you know, 500. Bonesaw giving you 500. Salvation giving you 500. And then, of course, Remnant of Renewal, which is the most health added per gold that you can get in the game at 0.226 health, maximum health added per gold spent. You can see that even that does not quite reach the efficiency of the tier 1 vitality beads, but it's worth keeping in mind. So that is all the health items. Those are the most efficient couple health items there. We'll get to the total efficiency here at the end. And then for the armor, what I've done is I've just done a total armor added per gold because most items only add one type of armor, but there is like a couple down here like Galaxy Greaves and Vanguardian and where's the other one? Frostguard. They give you both types of armor, so I just wanted to combine those together to total armor added per gold. So that's both of the armor items divided by their gold. So you can see again, none of these are going to even come close to reaching the 0.028 threshold of what you get just from the tier 1 10 armor added items, the tunic and wraps. But there are a couple standouts here. You know, you've got Stonewall, which gives you 60 armor, 60 physical armor for the 3,000 gold price tag. So it gets close. You know, same thing with Warden's Faith, giving you 70. It gets pretty close to that. You know, 0.22 versus 0.028. So it's close. The only one that actually gets there in total armor is actually Vanguardian, because Vanguardian has the passive that gives an armor aura in addition to the armor that you actually get from the card. So it ends up giving you 47 physical and 45 magical armor, which is actually incredibly efficient for how much armor it gives you. I usually talk down on Vanguardian because I'm not a fan of it, and I wish it was stronger, but from a numbers standpoint, it is actually quite strong with how much armor it gives you relative to the other items. You know, you've also got Frost Guard, which is another one that doesn't give you any health, so it also has a very high efficiency, similar to the level of Warden's Faith, with that 50 plus 30 armor split. So that is the total armor per gold efficiency. Now, what have I done here in this final column? So what I've done is total health plus armor gold efficiency rating. So this is not just a ratio. This is a little, you know, formula that I've come up with just to give us like kind of a number so we can understand, you know, where do these items stack up against each other, because that's what's really most important. You know, knowing how much armor you get per exact cost of gold doesn't matter as much as knowing which items are the most efficient. So keeping that in mind, I've done a sum of the health per gold and the total armor per gold, but you know, and I wanted to equalize it. So obviously this is a big gap here with health being, you know, 10 times more efficient than armor from a number standpoint. Wanted to equalize it into a rating that we can understand, while also keeping in mind that armor, I can't just multiply this number by 10 and get, you know, and equalize the armor to health perfectly, because armor only functions against one damage type. So if armor just functioned against both damage types, you would multiply it by 10 to kind of equalize the survivability rating. But since it only goes by 1, we are multiplying it by 5. So, you know, if you only, this, you know, Dawnstar only gives you physical armor, it's not helping you any versus magical damage, but it is helping you against physical damage. So we're multiplying the total gold per armor efficiency by 5 and adding it to the health and gold efficiency. Oh, no, don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. Okay. So that's how it's got. I mean, I also could have just multiplied the health number by 2, because health is twice as effective, because it's effective against physical and it's effective against magical. But I just figured I'd give us a nice rating number here. So that's what this has come out to. So this is, and then I've also multiplied it by 100 so that we can see it in a more, you know, readable number than a decimal. So overall, this is what we've come up with here. And basically these highlighted, I've highlighted all the ones that have broken the 20 ranking, the 20 barrier, because it's only a couple. And these items that are highlighted are the items that are most gold efficient to their survivability added, whether it's, you know, some of these are magical armor items like Flux Matrix, because it gives you a nice chunk of health, a nice chunk of magical armor, and it is cheap. So it ends up breaking the 20-point barrier for total health and armor gold efficiency rating. Total health and armor added for the gold that you've got to invest, keeping in mind that armor is only weighted 50% as much as gold as health, because armor only, you know, affects you versus each damage type, you know, on their own. So we've got Flux Matrix. No surprise there. It's a cheap item. with a lot of health and armor added. We've got Fire Blossom, which is nice to see it on this list because it's also just a generally strong item. The passive is strong on it. You know, you're seeing it built a lot right now on solo laners, on jungler tanks. So, despite it not giving you anything other than health and armor, it has a strong passive too, and it does break the 20-point ranking efficiency there. Unbroken Will is another one. You'll see that with these other ones that add a bunch of health, because health is essentially twice as effective as armor if you're considering both damage types. Offering you a nice 500 health pool and 35 armor gets it up to one of the top most efficiency items. And Unbroken Will has the extra bonus of percent mitigation or scaling, which is what I've put here as a little asterisk. Some of these items, other than just the straight health and armor that they give you, also give you bonuses to your survivability in the form of percent scaling or percent mitigation. So Unbroken Will, when you get CC'd, it gives you a bonus to your magical and physical armor, you know, based off a percentage of what they have. So percent scaling is stronger late game anyway, but and gold efficiency is stronger early game. So when you've got an item like Unbroken Will here that has an incredible gold efficiency for its stats and also gives you percent mitigation or percent scaling for late game, this is one of those items that's impressively strong whether you build it early or whether you build it late. So Unbroken Will, one of our top spots for sure. Void Helm is kind of the same ticket, where it gives you a big chunk of health and a big chunk of armor. You'll see that with a lot of these magical armor items. So 23.33 is actually the highest total efficiency of gold efficiency of survivability added of any single item. So Void Helm, you know, and coming with the decent passive to give you extra healing, is one heck of an efficient survivability item to build. Definitely has to be slid up in your builds if you're planning on building it. You know, the percent healing is more effective late that you get from it, but the sheer stats that you get from it at 40 magical armor now and 500 health, you know, this got buffed. This was 35 before, so since the 1.0, this being buffed up to 40 and 500, really hyper efficient armor and survivability added item for the gold. Then you get into some more of these, some physical ones, like you've got Stonewall here, you know, because not as much health added, but a huge amount of physical armor added. You see it's actually one of the more efficient armor to gold items in general, but even with the low health, it comes in very efficient at over 21 rating, and it gives you that percent mitigation as well against physical armor. So again, an incredible one both early and late game. Generally, you'll find people building it late, but from a number standpoint, it's just as strong early with how gold efficient it is. And then Tainted Bastion, kind of similar, not quite as high of a rating as some of these other ones, especially some of these other magical armor items, but Tainted also has the great effect of reducing enemy healing, and it has percent mitigation tacked on it as a passive. So, you know, 400 health and 40 magical armor. This is a very gold efficient item with good late game potential too, and you generally are going to need some sort of anti-heal in this meta right now. There's a lot of tanks that are healing a lot, so highly recommend Tainted Bastion. I build it pretty frequently, even when I don't see a lot of enemy team mages that are healing, like you don't have a Countess or something, you still might want to build Tainted Bastion just for the percent mitigation and the gold efficiency. Then, of course, we've got Warden's Faith, you know, massive 70 armor added. Again, not as much health, but hyper armor efficient and breaks into the over 20 rating barrier for that. And it has not, you know, pure physical percent mitigation, but it has crit percent mitigation, which is really strong, and it reduces enemy heroes' physical power. So, great aura on that, and great gold efficiency as well. Probably not building it super early because it's not as valuable when the enemy team doesn't have crit up yet, you know, versus building Stonewall. But still a very strong item. That, along with Stonewall, are your most effective two physical armor items. And then just breaking in over the 20 barrier, purely off of health added alone, is Remnant of Renewal. 700 health added is the most of any single item in the game. It is expensive at 3,100, but it has a decent passive with it as well that will keep you full health, so great survivability added per the gold cost on that one. And I can see, looking down here into the items that only add armor and no health, that none of them are really able to breach up into that 20-point barrier, just because, like I said, with how this is calculated, health is essentially twice as effective as armor because it affects against both damage types. So even the items like this, like Vanguardian, that give you a bunch of both armors, just barely get to 18 and just can't quite reach that efficiency of survivability added from having a bunch of health. So armor is strong. I do like armor. I do like how efficient Vanguardian is. I like how efficient Frostguard is, even though I don't build Frostguard very often. I have been trying Vanguardian out some more since I originally crunched these numbers and saw how efficient it is. And I do like Vanguardian now more on my supports because you can get it up so early. You could potentially go at second item or first item if you don't need a strong passive to help your support. I'm thinking maybe a Steel could build at first item, or a Richter could build at first item if he's just concerned with survivability and not like mana regen and anything, because it is very cheap and it is very close to the efficiency of some of these health items. So that is the spreadsheet, guys. You can come in here and play with it yourself, or either pause the video and look through each item specifically that, say you're a big fan of Bonesaw and Berserker's Axe on your like tank builds when you're going Chimera in the jungle. This is how efficient they are. Bonesaw is quite efficient, getting up there over 16 rating because health is weighted heavier than armor in this. But that's the spreadsheet. You can come in here and check it out yourself. Some final conclusions here for you guys. The highlighted items above give you the most gains in survivability per the gold investment required. That's basically what I've been explaining here, or what I highlighted here at the beginning. At the end of the game, your gold doesn't matter, and you've got extra gold, so you can build 6 items that give you the most health and armor and be happy with it. But these highlighted items here, these yellow highlighted items that I've put in here, and especially the ones that give you bonus percent scaling, like these 4 here, give you the most survivability added per gold investment. So these items should be prioritized earlier in your builds when gold is more valuable relative to the end of the game. So that's what I just explained. End of the game it's not important, but early in the game it is. So if you already know that you're going to need Tainted Bastion because you're going to need some sort of anti-heal against a mage, or you already know that you're going to need Warden's Faith late in the game because they're going to have a carry that's building crit, or maybe 2 enemy heroes building crit, then you can slide those up in your build order and pick them up a little sooner than you normally would, because they have got the gold efficiency to kind of give you more of a snowball effect where you can get them online and then you can try to get into your next item a little bit sooner because you've made more efficient use of your gold early. So final thoughts are, items with strong passives that your hero makes key use of can be an exception to this rule. So I've listed just a couple examples like Dynamo, Mutilator, Fist of Razul, certain tainted items. If you are on a hero where you can get like the Dynamo passive, which is up here. If you're on a hero like Steel, where you're getting the Dynamo passive to proc with all of your abilities because you're CCing people, and you're getting extra power from its passive as well, and it's going to be a more effective to snowball you early, then it may be a better first item, even though its gold efficiency per survivability added isn't quite as good. You are the exception to the rule where, you're getting more effective use of that passive to justify it not being the most stat value gold efficient item. Or like Mutilator, which Mutilator isn't on this list because it doesn't add health or armor. But in solo lane, you may want Mutilator first item because it's going to give you your sustain and survivability, and the sustain from the Omnivamp on Mutilator and the damage output is going to help you snowball better than just getting, a pure survivability armor item against your solo laner. If the survivability is added from the healing, it's going to outweigh the survivability added from a item in the terms of armor and health, then Mutilator is a better pick for you. So it is kind of hero dependent here, but in general, these highlighted items here, how many are there total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These 7 highlighted items are the most gold efficient to the total survivability that they add to your build, and should be shifted up a little bit in your builds. And like I mentioned at the beginning, this is more impactful to build order than build selection. So, if you're not going to get any value out of Flux Matrix in the first place, then don't try to, cram Flux Matrix into your build just because it's efficient. Just slide it forward in your build or slide it earlier in your build if you're going to get the value out of it. If not, then don't build it. So that's the spreadsheet, guys. Thanks for watching. I know I yapped a long time in there, as most of these spreadsheets tend to go. Like I said, this is going to kick off the every Monday spreadsheet release schedule. So look next Monday for another spreadsheet to come out. The next ones we've got to work on are going to be a Rampage one. I think I want to go ahead and slide that one up to the next spreadsheet because Rampage is pretty big in the meta right now, and it'd just be interesting to look at what kind of build options you have for Rampage in comparison to some of the other junglers. And then also check out last Friday where we kicked off the first of our Friday top 10 list or tier list type videos, or top tips type videos, where I gave top 5 heroes for new players to hop into ranked with. So check those out. Other than Monday and Friday, we're going to be doing gameplay videos, whether it's post-game commentary videos or ranked live commentary videos. Going to be coming out with those probably on Wednesdays and Sundays for sure, maybe throw in an extra one, but that's the kind of release schedule we're looking at for now. Hop into the spreadsheet for yourself. It's linked below in the description as well as the pinned comment. And thanks for watching, guys. We will catch y'all in the next one.